Hello, viewers. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the title of the role you're applying. It is very important. So, are you ready? Let's do it. Welcome to the 68 Jobs channel. This is your place to go from zero to the job that changes everything. No more waiting. Let's start. All right. Welcome back. Let's do this. Let's talk about the title of the role you're applying. All right, because it is very important. Also, as it is literally the second thing that the recruiters and the companies read after your name. All right, we have here the title that I have on my CV that I will point this as the first thing. However, when we are talking about the role we're applying, we must check the title of the role we're applying for. Yeah, because this also creates that connection between your skills, your experience, everything you have done in order to actually apply for the job, and the company itself. Yeah. So it is everything from, as I said, your experience, your roles, your jobs, and how important it is for the roles of the company. You can see here that this job that I was applying for is called Head of Performance and Growth. I have never been a head of performance and growth. However, if you put it in the title as Head of Performance and Growth, I have never had that title before. But I have done the job of Head of Performance and Growth in other different ways. And this is why we need to go and check how are we going to write that name. Yeah. So as it would be a lie if I put Head for Performance and Growth here. It would be a lie. If I put here Head of Performance and Growth, it could be literally a lie. However, we can modify it that is actually the role that we're looking for, or we are the candidate that they need. Of course, if you have done that before, for example, if you have been a head of performance and growth before, it's easy because then, for example, in the experience, you can put it here in one of your experience, head of performance and growth or head of performance and growth. So then it won't be a lie if you put head of performance and growth. However, in my case, and in a lot of cases of you jobbers applying, sometimes that name, the name of the role doesn't fit your experience. It's just the name itself. And it is the content that is important. It's almost like a book. If we judge the cover by the book by the cover, we're missing out everything that is inside. So here is the similar way. I would say that their roles very easy to name. So if you're applying, for example, for a engineering job, yeah, engineering job, engineering, and if you put it in engineering, if we apply for the engineering job, and then I am a civil engineer, so it's easy just to put civil engineer. That's it. I am a civil engineer. Perhaps I have a specialization in civil engineering, so am I actually a hydraulic engineer? Yeah, but easy. That goes here. Hydraulic engineer. My wife is a geotechnical engineer. Mm-hmm. And she also has a specialization on foundations and different infrastructure projects. But of course, that would be too long to put here. So we know that if somebody's looking for her, they will be looking for a geotechnical engineer, and then they will read her CV to see if she has that. Usually, mostly in the summary, that is what we put. I have this specialized in, for example, here I can say the horizontal infrastructure, like roads, or maybe vertical infrastructure, that is structures itself, buildings, or energy infrastructures like dams. So that is something we can put in the summary. Other thing, for example, if you're applying for let's call here medical or health, yeah, or health, similar thing. So you can be literally an MD. I mean, you have graduated and you're a medical doctor, so you're an MD. However, there's also the specializations. It's like you might be just like a general MD. You could be a pediatrician. So you're an MD, but you're a pediatrician. So pediatrics MD. I don't know in that sense. You can also be a cardiovascular MD. So you start to get it. In other roles that we might say, for example, right now with AI, that is insane. It's like prompt engineer. That was something that it was quite search, or at least the jobbers that I held last year that they were either on IT or software engineers. The roles were looking for a prompt engineer, but that was kind of a new role that was going around. So it's like, am I a prompt engineer? But I have done that before, so this is jobbers that perhaps they were software engineers. So I told them to put, for example, a prompt and software engineer. Yeah, if they were engineers, of course. Then we realized that a lot of these jobs, they were just like kind of AI related, not even engineer, but they just put it there because, I don't know, it was a trendy thing to put. So I know that I met even marketers that they were already engineers. So I told them to put prompt and technical marketer. Now you may say, why not engineer in the sense if you're a marketer? So we find words that will allow us to be the closest to what the role is required. So coming back to the thing that we have here. So I'm applying for the job that is called Head of Performance and Growth. So I put myself Growth and Marketing Operations Manager. That tells us, or at least I was trying to entice, that because I was a manager, I can be a head of a unit. And then, of course, you see the growth word, and then, of course, it's marketing. So in some kind of way, we already, it's performance and growth. So I didn't put, for example, performance here. But then I can put it in terms of the roles that I've been having before. So, so growth-oriented operations marketer, operations marketing here. And then I put it in other roles. So for example, here was performance and analytics. And then I also have another job here that's marketing digital specialist, which in the way all these jobs is about performance marketing. So if the recruiter knows what they're looking for, they know that all of this is performance. So this is where you add those words inside your CV. Yet the title has to be, related to it, or to provide that feeling that you can actually feel that role. All right. So let's go for another one that I have seen lately. It is not a prompt engineer, but it is a UX designer, but front end. So this has been a role that I've seen now. So front end UX designer. You might say, front end in what? Like, of course, this is what we go on and read about the role. So it could be on web, it could be on app. At least that is what it makes sense. But I saw a front end UX designer on a product. Yeah, it's a product itself is a physical product. So how do you put that if you're applying as a UX designer? So I am a UX designer. I know how to design, in general terms, how to design things. I mean, that is the nature of your experience. Then, of course, how you put it, if it's okay, maybe web app, it might, that's what I'm saying, simple for you to say, okay, I know the frameworks, I know this, I know, for example, not only to use to design, but I know then to put everything on CSS and then HTML in that sense, or whatever thing in code. The same thing here. I'm a front end and I know how to write everything in code for the developers, but then for the product. So this is where we put when you're applying for these jobs, and if you already have some kind of a specialization or you already know your stuff, so you put web front end designer or just web designer if they're looking more into the web part. If you're looking for the app part, we can put app web UX designer, sorry, app UX, oh, apologies for this, let's write it better. App front end designer. So when the recruiter is looking for these kind of roles and they read app front end designer, it already lights their eyes. It's like, oh my God, this person is the person we're looking for, because that is what we're looking for. We need a UX designer that works in front end for a web. So if they put the title there as like Andres Cuaran, web front end designer, it's like these guys are specific. This person knows really what they're doing, even if you haven't worked that much on that. I mean, but in theory, you know that. Of course, if you are going to put web, you need to have a portfolio and show up that you apply for it. You have the experience for that, or app, or if you have a mix of both. It's like, Andres, I have a portfolio with 3 websites, but 4 apps. It's fine. It's fine. So you can actually say that I can also not only do web, I can also do app. Or if you actually go for the physical creation of a product, this is what you put, like product front end, I don't know, designer, but now you get it. All right. So this is it. This is mostly the whole thing about the title. So remember that it needs to be, to make the conclusion here, it needs to be related with what you're applying for, or the same if you have already done that before. So most of the time you haven't done it. That is the audience that I'm helping, master students that have already finished their studies, and usually they're looking for the first role, or if they have experience from their home countries, literally doing the same. That is fantastic. It's like, we need a head of performance and growth. Oh, I did that in China. I'm a head of performance and growth and I did it in China. You know, like, oh my God, this guy knows what they're doing. And if not, this is the exercise, the whole thing that we did. All right. So remember, whatever thing that you're applying, the first step is that it needs to have something that the role is required in a name. So engineering, you put engineering. Growth, you put growth. Marketer, you put marketer. Then if you have done the job on the side, it's part of your portfolio, but not as your title, that is the word that you put. I have done web, so I put web on the title. I have done app, I can put app on the title. Or I have done prompting, you know, they're looking for a prompt, I can do that. But I'm also a software engineer, so I have to tell them that it's kind of like I can do that. Or I'm a technical marketer and I know how to read code. So tell them that emotion, give them that emotion that they requires. It's quite simple. It takes a little bit in doing that. This is why you have me here. If you said, Andres, what kind of title should I put there based on my experience? So you just text me, put a comment there, and then we chat, and that's it. All right. So that will be it for today. Thank you so much, and we continue. Bye bye.